Volodymyr Zelensky issued an urgent call for Americans to help his country fight off Russian invaders. It's estimated that more than 3,000 U.S. citizens answered that call.
Yeah, and the Daily Mail reports the experience of one former Army infantryman from Ohio. He claims American, Canadian, and British volunteers were told to head to Kyiv with no weapons. When they refused, their passports were ripped up and they were forced onto the front lines. They escaped the country hiding in an ambulance.
Which brings us to the question, why would Americans want to help fight the war in Ukraine? It's a noble thought, of course, but this isn't a game for weekend warriors or paintball enthusiasts. And to help us answer that question is Dr. Carole Lieberman. Dr. Lieberman, thank you so much. You're a psychiatrist and an expert on international terrorism, often called the terrorist therapist. That's quite the name. Absolutely. Dr. Lieberman, thank you so much for joining us today. So you've studied this. You know this well. You've actually listed the 7 types of people who might sign up for the wrong reasons. Could you go ahead and list those?
Yes. First of all, people who are bored, we've been cooped up with COVID, people who are fed up with watching the Ukrainians die and America, feeling like America isn't doing enough, people who are depressed. You know, there's a phenomenon I'm sure you know called suicide by cop. So this is suicide by Russian. People who are restless and looking for adventure, people who are angry and looking for a socially acceptable place to put their anger, people who are bullied and then they want to prove that they are tough after all, and people who feel guilty for not having joined the American military. So those are the wrong reasons. You know, of course, we're fed up watching Ukrainians die, but you have to find out whether you're actually equipped to be able to go do this, not just kind of go off on the spur of the moment.
Now, Dr. Lieberman, you also have the 7 right reasons for some people to join. Can you quickly list those as well?
Sure. You know, it is a noble idea. You have to decide, first of all, if you're strong enough to withstand the kinds of conditions there are there, whether you know something about shooting weapons or you can learn quickly. You know, like you were saying, it's not paintball and you're not going there to star in a war movie. You know, some people get carried away with the drama of it, the excitement. You need to be willing to understand that you might well die for democracy, for the Ukrainian people. Perhaps you have ancestors in Poland or so on who you're willing to die for. And then on a practical matter, you need to make sure that you could be away from your real life for an indefinite amount of time. And you need to ask your loved ones how they feel about it. Do they support you?
You know, it's amazing to me that you broke this down in the way that you did, because the first list, the wrong reasons, what scares me so much about that is because I think we all can probably pick 1, 2, maybe even 3 people in our lives that we know who might fall under some of those categories. I mean, my goodness, have you found that more people than not realize, like, oh, wow, I either fall under that list or I know someone who does?
Well, you know, a lot of people really would fall into the list, but most of them stop themselves from actually doing it. You know, they're thinking to themselves they would like to do it for one of these reasons, or a lot of times really these reasons, the wrong reasons, are unconscious. And so, you know, they might think about it. You know, obviously you can go, there are websites that Ukraine, Zelensky have put up. One of them is called UKR. foreignlegion.com. And the way they tell you to do it is to find the Ukrainian embassy in your city. So like in America, for example, there are several Ukrainian embassies, lots of cities all over America. I'm not necessarily pushing people to do that, but it has been. I mean, really, it has been very frustrating to watch these people die every day and to feel so helpless. And so that's why some people are moved to actually go over there. But you do have to think about it. That's why, you know, the 7 reasons to think about it, not just kind of go over there on your enthusiasm.
Sure.
Right.
Find out the realities when you get there.
Yeah. So, Dr. Lieberman, as a psychiatrist, what are your thoughts about Vladimir Putin? How do you see this thing kind of going? What's your assessment on that?
I've been doing a lot of analysis of Vladimir Putin. I have diagnosed him as and I haven't met him, but I have diagnosed him as having a paranoid personality disorder that comes from a childhood where he was raised in war-torn Leningrad, and destruction was all around him. He was very poor. There were rats. His parents lived through the war, and they couldn't show the amount of warmth that he needed. So all around him, as he was growing up, he saw these signs of death and destruction destruction. And that made him fearful of the outside world. And it made him promise himself that he would never be this vulnerable again. And so that's why he's really, I could go on and on. I know we're going to have limited time, but I'll say one thing, that we have to be very careful about dealing with him, because we can't push him into a corner. He is capable of pushing the button, because another thing that's going on is that he's in touch with his mortality more than ever before. He's 69 years old, 70 is coming up, and he's 2 years shy of what a normal Russian male lives to. Plus, he may have physical problems and so on. There have been rumors of that. There are lots of things going on inside of him, but he really is a force to be reckoned with, because he doesn't want to lose. He wants to leave a legacy of uniting the USSR. And if he's not going to be able to do that, he certainly doesn't want to go back with his tail between his legs.
Dr. Carole Lieberman, let me tell you, you are one interesting expert. I mean, I literally could sit here and talk to you all day. Thank you so much for just giving us more perspectives to think about, and honestly, more knowledge of something that we see happening right before our eyes. Thank you so much for your insight and on this seriously and incredibly serious issue.
Thanks.
All right.